it's a tug of war kind of a situation between the center and the state. So I just want you to elaborate more on the non-tax revenues that states can explore, and b what kind of pressure can such a situation put on the corporates doing or businesses doing I mean corporates doing business locally.
Well, two aspects. Let me try and address what are the options available to the states. Uh, the states' options are manifold, and I don't think that there is one size fits all for all the states over here. I think some of the states have greater ability to attract investment than the other states, right? So, in my and more investments have a multiplier effect. They have an effect not just on employment generation. They have an effect on developing enabling infrastructure. They have an effect on the revenues that a state can collect, GST revenues. So that's clearly, propelling investment is important. Now, how do you propel investment? You need more reforms. Now, what is ailing reforms? Some states are doing better on labor, other states are not doing. Some states are doing better on land, other are not doing. Some states are more stricter on environmental clearance, some are not. So you need a framework for every state government to be able to reform, because it is a reform that will bring you investments, and it's the investment that will create the multiplier effect, including the state revenues. I mentioned earlier that under the constitutional framework, states do have a right to levy certain forms of taxes other than GST. Now, let me give an example of something which is of emotive nature to politicians and has been debated in the past as well. Under the constitution, states have a right to levy agriculture tax. So why can't you start levying taxation on rich farmers? Now I know no states will try. Well, I won't say no state. I know that it's a difficult call, political call, for the state, because it requires a political will. But why can't you do that in these periods? Similarly, there are other forms of taxes, such as taxes on profession. There are land revenues that are falling within the ambit of the state government. The third is, why are we talking about privatization of only central PSUs? The state PSUs are more at stress. Why can't state PSUs be privatized? Why can't they be sold away, unprofitable undertaking? Because that will go to the state. That will not come to the center. And third, I think the states are sitting on a lot of land. Maybe this is time to monetize the land. Now, I don't know whether in the hierarchy of things that I've explained, which state would like to adopt which formula. But I'm just trying to address a very generic thing, that the responsibility of growth, raising revenues, is not just on the center. It's an equal responsibility. So I think states have many avenues. Now, let's talk about impact on business. I think this is a very old debate. Businesses historically in the license Raj focused on the central government policies. Today, frankly, I really don't know, what is left for the central government to be done by way of policies other than sharpening it. You have an FDI law where FDI is virtually free, of course, in some of those sensitive sectors, and some debate will continue in some sectors. You have an insolvency and bankruptcy code, which is a very fast work in progress that's happening. It's helped us. Leave the debate on the side. What should the government do in this environment where uh, there have been two-quarter moratoriums that have been given by the RBI, and now we are waiting for the implementation of the Kamath committee as to how should we deal with it. Because my view is that pausing on the IBC is a double-edged sword, but that's a different debate altogether. Center is trying to work on the arbitration law. So there's a lot of work in progress for the center, undeniable, right? But there is a lot that is there at the state level as well, equally. So, on education, on healthcare, on growth, on rural income. Center has delivered on its promise of carrying out agricultural reforms by amending the APMP, so on and so forth. Now, these all have to be translated at the state level. So, how are the local panchayats dealing with this? How good is the implementation? How good is the governance with respect to implementation of the central laws? These are precisely the aspects the businesses are looking at, because these are the aspects that businesses weigh in mind to weigh the competitiveness of the state to take a decision whether to invest or not to invest. And same aspects are coming true even in the context of FDI as well. So when you have a foreign investor coming in, he looks at everything. So if Apple wants to rework its supply chain and look at manufacturing in India, it has chosen A state over B state, or it had a choice of three states. Why did it choose A states? These are some of the parameters that will go to determine why it has chosen that state. So, those are the business aspects.